Hey, folks, just a heads up before we start the meeting. If you're here for the petition on the rezoning, we've moved that to May 21st. The EPC provided their confirmation certification. We also need to post a public hearing announcement, a public hearing notice as well. So we moved that to May 21st. So with that, call meeting to order. Pledge
Flag of the United States of America, considering all of it for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right. Additions to the agenda or changes. One change we have is a seal coating, select a bidder. Add that. Anybody else? Any other changes? Yep, good. Yeah, that's it. Approval of minutes and claims.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes and claims from last meeting.
Looked like about $1 million. I'll second.
Roll call vote.
Ron Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tim Clark, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kevin Patrick, how do you vote?
Yes.
First item of business, the ordinance approving the job descriptions. I mentioned that last meeting. Pretty much, we're changing our salary structure. That required an update of all the job descriptions. So the commissioners have responsibility for that. The council owns the classification salary levels on those job descriptions. And then once those are approved, it goes to the auditor and becomes part of the salary ordinance. So it's an integrated kind of a process. So we need to make a motion that we need 2 votes. If it's unanimous, we can waive the second one. And so, and again, kind of describe that one. And the ordinance number on that one is?
It should be on top of it.
Send your signing.
It's in there.
It's county council. There's no ordinance in there.
Good job.
She gave it to you. She gave it to you. Thank you.
All right. Ordinance number is 2025-05-07-000. An ordinance adopting the County of Brown, Indiana job descriptions. I'm not going to read this word by word. We're going to read it into the minutes. That will become part of the public record. And it'll be available for review as well. Okay, discussions?
Are you just voting in the ordinance to do that and not the actual job descriptions today?
It's both. The ordinance references the job descriptions. We realize there's some changes are going to be made to those, and then we'll make an amendment later to accommodate those.
There was a few issues still in our.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you guys
Yep.
are gonna be a part of that.
Okay, all
We're
right,
fair.
all right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the job description ordinance, as referenced 2025-05-07-000.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote. Tim Clark,
Yes.
Kevin Patrick,
Yes.
Ron Sanders,
No.
Next item, designated commit. We're in the process of opening up discussions with the town of Nashville on swapping a couple buildings, kind of an asset transfer. We do that kind of thing. We have to make a public notification of that and designate a representative from the commissioner's office. So, you know, and start that off, and Kevin started those initial discussions. So I motion that Kevin be our designated rep on that.
Yeah, I'll second.
Second, okay, roll call vote.
call Kevin Patrick,
Yes.
Ron Sanders,
Yes.
Tim Clark,
Yes. The third item, anything under, these contracts are kind of interesting. Anything under 50,000, the commissioners have discretion of selecting vendors. But we chose to basically get at least 3 bids on everything that we do. And so the health department, they had proposals for the HVAC and restoration project, and we got the bids. Kevin, you want to provide a little more information on that?
Sure. So we're dealing with the issues where the systems are, one, near life, and the other aspect of that is there been some actually mold found in the actual building itself. So both of these quotes, both of the quotes for the HVAC system and the quote for the restoration will take care of those issues going forward. The actual HVAC quote systems, we actually got 3 quotes on from Harold Fish, Reliable Comfort, and Dugan. That should be up there if I'm not mistaken on the big screen.
Dugan Air.
Yeah, Dugan Air. And then the second part of that is the actual cleaning and total restoration of the building. So there's quite a bit that has to take place in the administrative and office space with regards to cleaning windows, surfaces, floors, carpeting, and things of that nature. So based on the approach that we took here, we're taking the lowest bid on the HVAC system from Reliable Comfort at $25,004.01.02. So it's $25,041.02. And the Servo Pro of Columbus came in with a bid of cleaning services and restoration at $14,478.80. And we worked in concert with the health department to basically allocate funds that they had available. So they are actually and have already gone before the council and gotten the appropriations to move those funds and make them available for taking on these 2 projects. So the total overall project cost for that is $39,519.82.
Yeah.
Commissioner, can you send that to the auditor, please?
Sorry?
Can you
Send it
send that
to
to
me.
the auditor?
Yes,
Thank you.
I can do that. No worries. So I'll make a motion that we accept the 2 quotes that we have, one from Reliable for HVAC and the other from Servpro of Columbus for the restoration and cleaning.
No second.
Okay, roll call.
Ron Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tim Clark, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kevin Patrick, how do you vote?
Yes.
Next item is the MOA on the pickleball court. A lot of private money went in for that one. It's on county property. That requires some coordination with the commissioner's office. Kevin, you want to provide background on that?
Yeah, so these 2 agreements, one of them is the memorandum of understanding. That's basically an arrangement that we're working through the pickleball club because they provided the main source of funding through contributions and donations along with some of their own funds. That understanding will be reviewed with them. They've made requests to the nature of being able to utilize the courts at a certain time and also conduct some tournaments that may be available there. So those are not in final form yet. They'll have to go before their boards and be approved. And then they'll come back to the commissioner's board to be approved if everything's in good standing. The MOA itself, that memorandum of agreement, that is in place or going to be put in place with regards to the people that are going to be conducting the actual construction of those facilities in the park. So that will be between the county and whomever the contractor ends up being. Yes,
Can you make sure that's inclusive of security cameras so that we don't get a bill later?
I believe that if I'm not mistaken is, but I will check that.
Say probably not. So we have not given them.
So this is kind of a heads up that we're entering into the talks. Kevin, you're on a roll. You want to hit the interlocal agreement?
Sure, why not? Let me make a note for an action item from our lovely IT director. Give me a second.
Somebody's got your hand up back there.
Now, is the pickleball court open to everybody or just their club?
So the pickleball courts will be open to everyone. So, and there will be 6 of them to start with. So they've actually been, they would like to see a couple additional ones added, but right now there's only.
Public plan doesn't say it has to be open to everybody.
It is.
Will they be lit?
The project itself is lit. I do not know about the security cameras.
We walked it with Mark and there is a plan for lights. They've already got the pole situation. So yeah, I don't know that it's like lit, like the tennis courts at the high school, but
turn them off or not.
lights will be down there. I think.
I believe there is a stipulation in there about one night a week,
Yes,
that there's they want 5 courts. One night a week for their club. Is that correct, Kevin?
yeah. So the ask that they had was they would like to basically be able to reserve 5 out of the 6 courts one night a week for their club activities, whether that be introduction to pickleball, holding whatever their club practice or tournaments are. And the other aspect of that request was 2 tournaments a year, one in the spring, one in the fall. Yes,
They also got like insurance coverage and everything being on public land. Somebody,
so the insurance stuff, when we come to that agreement, is in there. They will be covered under that. Okay,
So at this point, we're just in the talk stage.
we're in the top stage at this point. The
That's it.
plan is to try and get those signatures and those things firmed up. So we, like I said, this is just an initial, this is a draft of this. They've not even seen this document yet.
And did you come to the mic and state your name,
Yeah,
sir?
thank you. Yeah.
Nothing, we just always, for the records, we need to know who's speaking in the room.
Jeff Catherine.
Yeah, so, good, got that wrong. Access Brown County.
You wanted me to deal with the interlocal.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jumped ahead.
So just to jump ahead.
Yeah.
So the solid waste division is basically responsible for recycling and other activities in the county. When the original organization was founded, there was put in place an actual agreement that has been in place between the county and the solid waste group because they are their own taxing authority. They are an individual agency of the county. So what has been put in place is agreement since the county highway garage occupies a portion of that building. We split costs associated with common areas. And then we would go through the exercise of just divvying out the responsibilities for whatever unoccupied spaces, the solely highway versus solid waste. That agreement had basically lapsed and it had a 5-year renewal clause that was the commission had to revisit it every year. The document that was signed by the board on the 21st of April, around that time frame, was adopting a renewal of that agreement between ourselves and the solid waste division. And then in addition to that, we end up having a auto renew clause with language that changes it to both parties can submit cancellation in writing if we choose to terminate that. So that's how we proceed forward with that. So what we have up here is, we can sign this after the fact. We just need a motion to approve. So I'll make a motion that we approve this interlocal agreement between ourselves and solid waste.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Discussion,
Oh, discussion, okay.
it's come to our attention that they're storing trash inside the building, which is hazardous. I believe Kevin's talked to the director. They're gonna figure out a different route. But that could be where the contamination is coming from. Needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
So they're working on that.
Correct. Which is something that we mentioned in passing too, because again, like you're saying, the HVAC system there is at life, plus it's got mold. Actually, it has mold and bacterial issues. So that's being addressed.
And if you keep doing the same thing, you're gonna get the same thing over again, I believe.
I don't disagree.
Got a motion and a second?
Ready?
Yes.
Tim Clark,
Yes.
Kevin Patrick,
Yes.
Ron Sanders,
No,
All right, Kim, Access Brown County. Appreciated all the documentation.
was that okay?
Forwarded that on the mic,
Posted,
and
yes.
Mike signed off on what he needed to do as well, so you want to give some background on it?
Yeah, so this is just our annual grant application with NDOT that we have to turn in, and since you guys are the authorizing agency and control, you're the pass-through account, you have to sign off on all those lovely documents that I provided for you guys.
Okay.
So, and I also have my claim for this quarter, which I didn't get to earlier, but it's just so I can submit it to, get our payment for Q1.
That's the pass-through money.
Yeah, all of this is passed through. So these are just the documents that we give to NDOT. Money just comes in and goes out. And I did include a new vehicle because the one, Gus that we bought with private funds is near his end of life. So we, applied for another bus.
At least I'm gonna do the plates now.
Oh my God.
Oh, God.
So there are 7 documents that I need
Okay.
something to return.
Seven documents.
Yes.
So we have to make motions to motion every one of them, or can we do it as a whole?
That'd be it.
Is Mr. Moga there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do it as a whole, make a motion that you're approving all those documents. That'd be acceptable.
Discussion. Again, it's a recurring grant. Motion.
I'll make the motion that we approved all relevant grants related to access Brown County.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call.
Kevin Patrick,
Yes.
Ron Sanders,
Yes.
Tim Clark,
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Just after the meeting.
Yeah, I'll come and get them later. We can buy them. I'll copy them. I'll scan them so you have copies. Okay. So I have to get all this uploaded by the 15th. So, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So can I ask one last question though? Because this is actually a claim to the auditor, correct? Or is this a claim to actually get funds?
That's
that
the claim
all
for
there?
first quarter of this year. So that's a separate one than the grant application.
Okay, so then we need to basically go through and approve this transfer, correct?
Yeah, you have to sign it, then I have to submit it, and then the money comes in.
So I believe we need, if I'm not mistaken, I'll make a motion to approve the document for rural transit, section 5311 to the allow transfer of funds. It's been encumbered.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Ron Sanders,
Yes.
Tim Clark,
Yes.
Kevin Patrick,
Yes.
All right, thank you,
That's a
guys.
wrap.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Need a vote vacancy. Got a letter of interest and an endorsement by the assessor, Mary Milton, from Thomas Endicott. Said he's interested in filling a position in the County Property Tax Board of Appeals, PETA for short. He has 36 years of experience in residential sales with over 2,000 transactions. And he's looking forward to serving. And again, Mary Miller looked at it and concurred with his appointment. So, discussion? Motion?
I don't have anything on it. If you're entertaining a motion that we accept Tom Endicott to the open vacancy for the county.
Okay.
Tim Clark,
Yes.
Kevin Patrick,
Yes.
Ron Sanders.
Yes.
All right, next item, contract award for bid opening for Bridge 111 Country Club Road. Kevin, you want to brief that one?
So we currently have in place a CCMG grant, which was basically awarded to us to replace the bridge 111 on Country Club Road. That bridge is in poor shape, to say the least. We have basically closed all of the right-of-way negotiations and things of that nature. So, and the USI has recommended that we accept a low bid of RL Volkson, if I'm not mistaken. As Volkson. And Eric, you remember, can you repeat for me off the top of the head what the numbers were?
I don't have it. I don't have it. No.
$877,000. I don't know what the exact number is.
Yeah. So give me just a second.
If it was in the minute,
Yeah, it is.
it might have been in.
Yeah, actually, it might have been in the meeting minutes. That's why I don't need it. That's, yeah,
Right here.
RL Volkson Excavating out of Scottsburg, Indiana, was the low bid at $877,444. We have been informed that they had 2 issues in their submission packet, missing information related to the subcontractors list and the equipment list. And I've been informed by USI that that is not an issue. Those unit costs the unit costs that they have given us will not be impacted by those submissions, and we'll deal with those things through the contract process to bring that up to speed. So I don't, Mr. Burton, do you have any issues with that at all?
No, I'm good with RL Luxon.
Okay.
Yep.
So is there any discussion we need on this?
Nope.
Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve the RL Volkson as the selected bid for Bridge 111 Country Club Road.
For $877,444.
Yep.
I'll
Thank you,
say.
sir.
Okay, roll call?
Did we get a second?
Yes.
Oh.
Ron second.
Kevin Patrick,
Yes.
Ron Sanders,
Yes.
Tim Clark,
Yes. Yeah, keep going, Kevin. Mountain T State Force. Mr. Contract.
That's why my hair is white. Okay, so we have been informed that that Indiana and NDOT have been assigned a project by the governor to go through and upgrade Pumpkin Ridge Road that runs between Hoover Road and Mountain T State Park. The contract that's coming before us is simply just a matter of support. And that level of support is just dealing with right of way. The contract's been reviewed by our legal, and the actual contract for this is just to move this process forward so it can go into design. The targeted date for completion of design is in 2027. I don't have any idea when construction will start. So the document that we have, unless there needs to be some discussion here. I don't know if the audience wants to make any comments on that.
Some questions have come up about eminent domain and the landowners out there. Are there any landowners here today? I don't know if the landowners are fully aware of what's coming out through there. Then there was the other issue about it being in a bad curve. Then that would come up on us to do the work on that. Not to mention the fact that they want us to accept it after it's done, which would create a burden to the taxpayers of the county. I think I'd like to see a little more discussion, a little more detail. I'd like to hear from the homeowners and whether we're even considering doing anything in that blind curve or not. The fact is that basically, I think they want to put a 24-foot wide road in out there. And I think there's absolutely nothing out there. They're gonna have a big highway going back to nowhere. I don't believe there's any trails back there. No camping. I believe basically it's just, you wanna hike in the woods out there. Take your chances with the rattlesnakes, the ticks.
There's a lot of hunting back there.
Well, yeah, they said that people go back here and hunt, so. I don't know. I just don't think we're quite there. I don't have a problem to continue to look at it. I just don't think we're quite there yet. As of yesterday, we didn't even know who the landowner was. Did you look that up?
Yes, Robert Clee is the gentleman at the end of the ride, at the end of the drive. So in the conversations that I had with NDOT said that they would take into consideration and see if the design could be designed in such a way to minimize the condition at that corner that is there at the road. It exists today. It exists in basically the double lane at the entrance. And they did ask for information. I worked with the sheriff's department to provide them incidents in the area, but not specifically on that corner. The other thing about that is NDOT's part of their process from a design perspective, just like any of our projects. They have to have, and will be having public hearings going forward on that.
What?
They have public hearings that they have to have in order to before they proceed.
Yeah, but once we pass it on, it's in their hands, and then they can just go ahead and use eminent domain.
Correct.
Okay, so the idea, okay, so we could table it, get the announcement out to the homeowners,
That'd be nice.
get them involved, okay?
That'd be nice. See if there's gonna be a hang up for there.
Because they're looking at 2027 for this thing anyway, so it's like,
Yeah.
They're behind the deadline right now from where they first started. They said they would help minimize or help update the intersection right there at a certain cost to help, help better what it is right now anyway. Right now, it's kind of dangerous pulling it out of there regardless. You can't hardly get 2 vehicles pass through there. There's no place to park at the end, so when hunters go down there and park, they're all over the side of the road. They're everywhere. I mean, their design looks good.
There's not a parking lot back there, or they're gonna put a parking lot
They're
back
gonna
there?
put a parking lot back there.
That
So,
would help.
It's a lot of money. Kevin, you remember the numbers?
The turn the construction bid is $6.5 million.
yeah,
It's paving a county road, plus $1.5 million on design.
But if you've never been on there, you have to understand, it's taking that from basically a single wide road gravel and actually giving you 2 lanes of paved road.
So how much money is it coming from our pocket?
no,
Nothing. It is all out of state funding.
Unless we get for the curve and the blind curve and have to do some work, and then we will inherit the cost in the future. Now, do you know how many homeowners are even back there?
No, I haven't taken a look at that.
Because all those people are gonna be affected some way.
yeah, but I mean, it'd basically be on them to do their homeowner talking, their meetings, their stuff. If they wanted to move forward with it, depending on how much pushback they got.
That was my understanding, like I said, when we had the conversation with the NDOT, the project engineer.
Problem is, to Ron's point, is once we give up that authority, then they're dealing with the state, they're not dealing with the county. I mean, we're out of that discussion when it comes to the road. I know what concerns homeowners may have on that. Your issue is just find out if they have concerns.
Yeah, it's hard to turn down $6.5 million, but I don't want to disturb the residents back there's peace either. That's why they kind of moved back there, I would think. I just like to get some input, see where they're at.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to table it.
Okay. I'll second.
Roll call, Ron Sanders, to table, are we voting on tabling?
Yes.
Okay.
I made a motion, table, that's a yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Kevin,
So,
Okay, final one on the contracting seal coating, Kevin Bidward.
yes, so if you can pull that up, please. So again, we basically, this was well below the $15,000 in services, or I think it's even higher for services. So in doing due diligence, we basically contacted an additional 2 individuals to quote, and that was Smith Paving and Hardin. Ed Couch has been the original one that's been managing and paving and resealing the parking lots as they are. 3 quotes came in, and Ed Couch doing $26,050 for all of the buildings that we have. Smith Paving gave us a quote of $32,485, but they did not recommend doing seal coating on the actual parking lot at the sheriff's office. And then Hardin Paving came in and actually gave us a bid or a quote of $35,528. So I just wanted to basically put this back out there and move forward with, and would like to motion that we move forward with getting Ed Couch set up on the paving with 2 exceptions. And again, this is something now that we have this whole prosecutor's office thing coming in, I don't know if we want to proceed forward with going and having that parking lot completely paved or seal coated and striped. I know at one point we were talking about having to pour it.
You could have it striped.
Could have it striped. And Ed did give me information with regards to just the striping. And then I had a recommendation on the sheriff's office and actually waiting until we actually have the HVAC work done and have that seal coating and that take place after all of the jail work that needs to be completed.
So we're taking out the LEC.
Well, we're postponing until after that work's done. Ed was fine with that.
And then we might actually look at some blacktopping too, though.
So I basically, yeah, in taking the recommendation actually from Jason Hardin and Mike Smith, there are some areas that Brad and I walked along with those 2 gentlemen where there is pavement that is either bulging, cracked, holes, standing water and things of that nature between the law enforcement center and the EMT office. And so I've been putting together some bids on that. They're not necessarily final at this point. It's just information to kind of give us a planning to, if we need to take care of this within the next year or two.
So we're taking the 7,200 off or just postponing it?
We're just postponing it.
Okay.
And then if you still don't want to strike the process or don't want to seal coat the prosecutor's office, we can just go with striking.
Well, that's fine. I just, you should have time, by the time we get done with the process of talking to the buildings. I might have some work to be done on the swap up there too.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the quote and accept Ed Couch as the person to do the work for the seal coating at the facilities that we've identified on this list.
I'll second.
Tim Clerk,
Yes.
Kevin Patrick,
Yes.
Ron Sanders.
Yes.
Next item is Indian Hill Road. Give you an update. And I'll read the letter. This was closed in 2020 during COVID. Wasn't a public hearing. That resulted in a lot of pushback, a lot of information should have factored into the decision. County submitted a petition to reverse that closing and the bill came back from. So then we went in and put in for a federal grant, totaled around $1.9 million. We were denied the grant, talked to the U.S. Department of Transportation Railroad Administration. They say, hey, might be eligible for another grant, but given the influx in the administration right now, we don't know if money's going to be available. And then also, when you look at the fact that you have very low traffic, low risk on that particular area, may be difficult for us to win any kind of bidding. Somebody else may have higher priorities and bigger needs. So there's state grants available. We'll apply for everything we can, but in the interim, we decided to go back to NDOT and talk about the requirements that they put on us. So let me read the letter. It's directed to Miss Lindsay Quist. Dear Commissioner Quist, we request your assistance in avoiding the unnecessary expense of 1.9 million tax dollars caused by excessive crossing grade requirements imposed by your agency to reopen a railroad crossing on a sparsely traveled gravel road that has 2 trains cross it each day. We know that as a member of the Braun administration, you're committed to efficient, common sense government. That is why we are asking for your help. In May of 2020, during the time of COVID-19, the Bryan County Commissioners accepted the petition from the Indiana Railroad Company to close the railroad crossing on Indian Hill Road without a public hearing. This action resulted in a decision that did not challenge the justification for the closing or adequately consider the adverse effects of the closing on residents or emergency services. The closing also cut the Tecumseh Trail into 2 sections. Hikers, runners, and bicyclists must now detour several miles to experience one of the top 50 hikes in the U.S., rather than take 2 or 3 steps across the railroad tracks. The pushback from residents and other stakeholders led to the county's successful petitioning of NDOT to reopen the crossing. While we are grateful the petition was granted, it came with a mandate to meet expensive crossing standards that are unwarranted for a crossing with so little vehicle and train traffic. The crossing is in a remote part of the county, has little traffic, and to our knowledge has no record of ever having a safety-related incident in over 100 years. The sightline and elevation-related issues associated with the crossing are not unique to the county or state. NDOT has not mandated or funded upgrades to other crossings with similar characteristics. Ironically, the same farming family that granted the original easement for the crossing can no longer safely and easily access the fields they used to harvest hay. In good faith, Bryan County Commissioners applied to the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Railroad Administration for a federal grant requesting $1,887,650 to meet NDOT standards. Our application was not approved, and we were told by the program administrators that funding for other possible grants is uncertain at this point. Further, because of low traffic volume and lack of history of safety issues, the grant evaluators may conclude this would be an unwise expenditure of funds. The closing of the crossing continues to have adverse effects on the county. Residents do not have ready, safe access to the nearby state highway, are at risk of delays in receiving emergency services, and experience longer and much less safe daily commuting. The blockade of Tecumseh Trail at Indian Hill Road has disrupted events sponsored by bicycle groups and runners. In the past, the Tecumseh Trail Marathon has attracted over 700 participants to the county. Since the crossing closure participation has been lower, this event brings hundreds of out-of-town guests that lodge, dine, and shop in the county. Bryan County is an adventure tourist destination that we leverage to market the county as a beautiful place to live, work, and play. We're attracting new residents who can work from home and enjoy their favorite hobbies and other amenities our tourism industry offers. Since 2018, our low to moderate income levels dropped from 53.1% to 40.4%, a significant economic success story. For decades, this crossing was safely used with nothing more than crossbucks marking the crossing. We request that NDOT modify the requirements to better fit this rural county road and limited train traffic and save precious tax dollars. Bryan County needs a more immediate reopening to end the adverse effects of the closing on our residents, visitors, and economy. Signed respectively by the Bryan County Commissioners. We'll set up a meeting with the director of NDOT and have those discussions and see what we can do to get this thing reopened as fast as we can. Any questions about Indian Hill?
Do we need to vote on this?
Yeah, you guys want
Yeah, I would recommend that we do that.
to, okay?
So I'll make a motion that we approve that letter as stated for submission to the NDOT commissioner.
I'll second, but the only problem is there's a S missing on the last of my name.
Okay.
I'll amend my motion, revert it, and I will basically say, accept the letter and sign it with the amendments identified by Mr. Sanders.
Kevin Patrick,
Did we have a second?
I second.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Sorry, sir. Yes.
Ron Sanders,
Yes.
Sam Clark.
Yes. Okay. That moves us to Teresa. You're on.
Okay. There are 2 job openings in the county currently. There is a driver loader position at the highway, and there is a payroll position open in the auditor's office. We also have a new recorded form for courthouse lawn use. This has been recorded, and we'll put it on our website so that people can find it under the commissioners. And I have a note here about the finance meeting on May 16th at 9 a.m. That's all I have.
Lawn agreement?
Yeah, it's there. So I think what we should do with that, since we're doing that, recommendation, I think from Mike was to basically make it present and then vote and accepting that that's the way, the process we use forward and filling that out before they actually use it. Yeah, I know. We got ahead of ourselves, but hey.
Do I have a,
I'll make a motion that we approve that form for utilization to reserve courthouse lawn.
I haven't actually seen. That was done while I was on.
Okay.
you gonna table it then?
Is it short?
Not for that one.
Give a little background. We got requests for folks to use the courthouse lawn. And then we started looking to see what our process was and policy and procedure and that kind of thing. And so we discovered we didn't find anything. So we created one. So that when somebody asked to use that courthouse lawn, we've got a form that they fill out. It saves us, covers us on the insurance liabilities, that kind of thing. So that's what this is. We're just formalizing the process.
What I remember was, one of the changes was they had to provide insurance.
They're accepting of indemnification. The last paragraph
Yeah.
is the indemnification clause, but we're not held liable for any incidents. And they're responsible for repairs or anything that occurs.
Okay. Gotta clean up the trash, no unlawful acts, no alcohol or drugs. Responsible for all damage. Necessary to get the permits, town of Nashville. And it's also worked with the insurance company for Wardy.
Yes, so Alicia Grady and our representative added language in the paragraph that I covered us with regards to loss and action.
You made a motion?
I mean,
And Mike Bogot also reviewed it.
I'll second.
Okay.
discussion, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Pam Gould.
Can't hear you. Is it on?
His mic
Pull it down.
yeah.
Pull it towards you.
Can you hear me now?
No. Technology.
Just a
Has there been any consideration, how this might apply to public protests? There was a public protest here a few weeks ago. Thank you. That's better. And, there, you know, to your point about, the importance of, our tourism industry here and accessibility to sidewalks. It was my understanding, though I didn't actually see it, that, the more recent protest, a few weeks ago, on all four corners of our main intersection here in town were crowded with protesters. This is regardless of whether I agree or not with what was being protested. But impeding sidewalks, I think, should be a real big concern. And perhaps also, law enforcement, if it's anticipated that crowds get to be over a certain size, maybe there needs to be some consideration for hiring law enforcement, in addition, for whatever the county would incur in cost to manage the public safety aspects of these kinds of things. So we'd just like for you to consider the ripple effects of your proposal here and how it might affect or maybe not affect public protests. Thank you.
People are free to apply to use the courthouse lawn. I mean, we can review on the application, but then whether or not we're gonna say yes or no, that's really gonna be a legal question that we could run by legal. You know, I think we control time, place and manner, but excluding someone for, you know, the right to speak is a different issue, a legal issue, and we'll run that by our attorneys.
Right, and I'm not addressing our right to public speech, but just the rights for everyone to be safe.
Sure.
And for that to not be the burden of that to be put upon the taxpayers. Thank you.
Good.
And also, I think you made reference in there to a permit from the town of Nashville. I'm not sure the town of Nashville has a permitting process for public things on the sidewalk.
Yep, they actually have their police force involved in it too, so.
Okay, I know they do have a public right-of-way permitting process where if you are going to be blocking any public right-of-way where there's street and alley, a sidewalk, there has to be a permitting process. And so if public protests are blocking the sidewalk, there should be a permit coming from the town for that.
I'll confirm with Cindy.
I believe there was some issues with them being on the sidewalk where basically the tourists would actually have to walk in the street to get around them. And I didn't think that was the understanding that we had with them originally. I thought they were supposed to be on the courthouse lawn and not to impede the sidewalks.
They was on all four corners. I go through there, I could barely get through there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think we had some issues and I think that's what generated that. We're just trying to do our due diligence.
And I just want to say, and Brad just made mention, that we did have a conversation about this, and my understanding is the town marshal was aware of that activity. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there's supposed to be another protest this weekend.
I believe so.
Okay. So, I mean, it's kind of like the boundary ends at the edge of the grass for the courthouse, right? Because we aren't responsible for the public sidewalks. So that's why it's important to get the town involved with that. And that's why we did what we did with regards to courthouse lawn, because we noticed and did see we hadn't done our due diligence there. We need to go.
Yes, sir.
Okay, ready? Tim Clark?
Hang on. Got one more comment.
This goes back to my background.
Just your name comes
Jim
to.
Atkins. I know Brad pretty well, a little bit. the fire and EMS side of this protest, you gotta look at that too. I mean, you got volunteer fire departments in this county. You don't have the resources to supply for all that. So is there something we can do? If maybe sheriff get with the fire departments and EMS and say, hey, something happens down here, mass casualty. I'm a firefighter. So I understand this. So is there any way we could, like in your guys' permit, okay, cost for the sheriff's department, the fire and EMS, if they, I know we protect everybody, it don't matter if it costs or not, but take some of the burden off of us.
Yeah, I mean, we can't make income, we can't generate income. but
Right, but
we could-
if they get hurt on town property, is
So
it
that's-
uncovered,
So
is
the,
it county covered?
so it's on our property with this actual agreement, we're indemnified against them.
So they're on
Whoever
there.
is represented there
Okay.
as part of their groups.
Okay.
So, and that was my understanding is, I don't know, we didn't officially respond the first time through with Indivisible. So as I believe, they may have moved it into the streets rather than on the
Yeah, it
courthouse.
was in the street. I went through
So,
it.
and I believe they went to the town after that, so.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
So,
Roll call?
okay. Tim,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes. All right. That it, Teresa? Anything else?
that's all I have.
Eric, you're on.
All right. So we're finally getting through the end of the storm damage and we're actually able to get back on our regular stuff. We're starting to do a lot of our street culverts, road culverts that we've been needing to do for a while. We're trying to prepare for our paving that we're hopeful that's gonna come here with some local money. So we do have bad news with CCMG as far as community crossings. They're not doing a call in July like we thought. We're hoping that they're going to do a jump up call in September, but we're not sure yet. So we may or may not have a second call, which we were gonna apply for the Hoover Sweetwater Bridge. So we'll wait and see. I know a lot of these laws are changing money, so we'll see what happens. And then starting in 26, they're only gonna do one call a year instead of two.
And you can confirming you're not stated, right now it's kind of up in the air as to whether it's $1.5 million, whether it's $1 million, whatever the.
Yeah,
number
it
is.
started out as $1 million. It went to $1.5 million the last couple of years. Not sure with them going to one, call a year, maybe hopefully it'll stay at $1.5 million, but the pot may be smaller, so it'll be a little bit more competitive. So we'll just have to make sure we're ready. We get our things submitted, as early as we can when the call opens up to get us a good shot of, getting it. So, so that's that. I've been working with Chad a little bit on our radios, trying to get our radios that's in our equipment and our trucks back up and going. We've reached out to our licensing people. I guess the license expired in 23. If you would have renewed it within a month, it would have been $100. Well, now it's like $1,600 to renew. So we're working on that to see if there's a cheaper option, but we'll see what happens. Other than, I did finally get our 24 annual operations report submitted to LTAP. So I got that done. Kevin, we should be sitting down pretty soon to talk about the Mount Liberty Bridge project,
Okay,
to try to get the beginning stages of that going, go over some.
and refresh my memory of the 3 engineering services people you're engaging on that.
It's, Clark Dietz, Aegis, and USI.
Okay,
So they've all, they've been pre-approved with us. We've used them, all 3 of them before. So we know they're qualified. So I've been working with them
and then if I remember correctly, in just the brief discussion that we had, you had some conversation with Dan Rains about moving the actual sewer line running across that bridge as part of the activity.
Yeah, they're right now their sewer is attached to it, and I think they're gonna do away with that, and so that'll help us get that off of our bridge. I don't know what was done back in the day. There was some sort of agreement, I'm sure, whether it was, an ordinance or if they just said, yeah, go ahead and attach your sewer to the bridge, but they did have a break. One of the big rains a a month or so ago and it actually got hit and broke, so they've had to work on it anyway. So I think they're wanting to move it and get it out of there.
Okay.
So. But yeah, that's all I really have.
Alrighty. Ongoing business. Give me an update. Finance committee did meet last month. We're gonna meet, I think, to reinforce it, May 16th. That should be pretty interesting. The state came down on our budget guidance for the year, and so we're experiencing, looks like about a $700,000 shortfall in 2025, around 900,000, 2026, and then somehow we break even and do a little better the third year. So that's gonna be factored into the budget. So we're taking a hard look at it. When it comes to the budget, our budget submission is July 1. We started dealing into the budgets this past couple of weeks. Pretty interesting if you're new to the county or new to budgeting or experienced with budgeting, but yet fall in to see how the county and state does it. It's quite the experience. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. 35 years
To that. It's kind of like
35 years in government, different agencies, military, civilian, pretty familiar with Pentagon budgets, how they budget, all the games you played. This is
So be.
Child's play.
this is interesting how we manage. So it's gonna be we'll re-engineer that, so it actually makes sense. And then we can actually communicate it to the public, because I could do that now, and explain it with a straight face. So, I want to get to that point. So again, stay tuned. The more information I get at these finance committee meetings, I'll share in the public. Share my pleasure, pain, however you want to look at it, and explain where we're going and how we're going to fix it, and provide that kind of transparency that I think all citizens deserve. The next thing we got popping is council districts are requiring boundary changes due to rebalance of the population. I mean, Kevin, you can probably give us a heads up on that one.
So the short thing of that is that basically there's supposed to be there's a deviation percentage that we can't be out of. And right now, based on the precincts and based on the boundary lines of the current maps drawn for the council district, because they are considered what is called an electoral position, meaning that individuals in those districts can only vote for those individuals in that district, which is one of the only offices in this county that is managed or done that way, which requires us to be less than 10% deviation in our populations between those two districts. So we've been graciously blessed with the assistance of Dave Shelton, who's Knox County Clerk, who's helping 18 other counties address this issue. And we put information together that we want to share in the next meeting, and proposals on a resolution to pass changes in the precincts to accommodate the proper percentages that we need in those areas. So that's the update there.
Thank you, Kevin. Then this last one, in the ordinance for the general obligation bond, the council, with our support as well, put in a requirement that we have an owner's rep or a construction manager on some of our projects. The big project we had was the air conditioning units. DLZ was hired as a construction manager on that one, so we're kind of covered on that one. But also, good idea, and we went out and started looking at the resources we really need from that kind of representative on behalf of the commissioners. So we looked at resources, benchmarked with other counties. Kevin did some outreach to Johnson County on how they did this. And then we identified requirements, and we started talking to some service providers. And so when you look at it, it's not only do you want to have that oversight on funding on the general obligation bond, but we're also very involved in the need to develop that asset management plan to identify all the assets we have in the county. And then that goes hand in hand with a capital improvement plan. So when you look at repairs and replacements and maintenance issues and starting to identify what those funding requirements are, that's part of the services we want to receive from this person as well. Because if you're going through and looking at a courthouse and you're looking at the jails, well, they're older buildings, and you've got to look at all the other expenses we may have in the future. Historically, in the county, it was always a surprise. We've waited, it's like Christmas. Let's see what one big expense item comes up during the year, and then jump through the cracks to see where we can pull it from the different various accounts. It's like a shell game. And so it's very reactive. couldn't anticipate what that expense would be, but you could always bet there'd be an expense. So we want to get ahead of it. I don't think any of us like the surprises. We want to get ahead of it, identify what those are, and then budget for that and let people know what those unfunded requirements are. And we have, extensive amounts. So to do that, we want to hire the expertise and get that kind of support that we haven't had in the past. So we're working on that now and negotiating with different folks. So any questions or discussions on that? Yeah,
Tim, you want a 30-second update on alcohol board?
please. I'll time you.
I'm gonna make it less than 30. I get time to get there. Yeah, Dwayne Parsons, Alcoholic Board, Commissioner. We had a meeting this for this month. Hobnob was approved for their permit. They have a wine only, 3-0 vote for it. Nashville House approved 3-0. Cooper's Alley over here, was revoked. We revoked their license. They had a major violation, which they paid the fine of $1,000, but then they missed the first hearing, they missed the second hearing, and they missed the third hearing, so we revoked their license.
Okay.
And then this month coming up, the day after Labor Day, Quaffon and Big Woods are up for renewal, automatic renewal.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Dwayne. Hey, we appreciate the hard copy too.
Yeah, well, I'm
So
trying to
appreciate
get them to you. Yeah, and that's the first revocation we've had. I'm showing the clock. That we've had since I've been on for 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
Kind of unique. We've got a real good county as far as obeying the law.
And Dwayne, appreciate all of your work and conscious.
So thank you. I appreciate this,
So thank you.
being able to do it. I'm putting together this is my other 30 seconds. I'm putting together a list that's been asked for of what's available, what's allocated and all that. It's you've been the government. It's very difficult to just go get it. So I'm trying to get that together for you guys.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Last item, Mike Mocha, anything to add from the legal perspective?
Nothing to add. Thanks.
Anybody have anything to say? Got plenty of time.
And Gould, just curious if you might be able to give us a little more detail about the prosecutor's office property swap?
We don't have any information beyond, we've been approached and then they've asked if we're interested and we've done some initial surveying of that through the prosecutor.
So this was initiated by the town of Nashville.
It was basically, yeah, in essence.
Yep.
My name is Jimmy Tilton. I'm just curious why the zoning petition was moved.
Okay, I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, I think you came in a little
Yeah,
bit.
I think maybe.
The APC forwards they have the decision, as you're well aware, the APC, they forward us a certification. What our attorney identified is in addition to the certification and the notification provided through the APC, we also have to have a public notification. So we'll do that. That's why we moved it to the 21st.
Hello, Joy.
What group is organizing the council district rearrangement? Is that you guys? Is that,
So it's the commissioner's responsibility to draw those lines
okay,
per statute.
is that gonna be done like, equivalently across all, or they can be consolidated to fewer?
Well, so the way the maps have been looked at with Mr. Shelton's help, there's going to be some consolidation, there are going to be some expansion in precincts. The district in itself, like you said, council is the only district map that we need to be dealing with. The imbalance was, like I said, 19 or 20% based on the redraws that we've done initially, which we haven't gone through finals of because we don't have an ordinance yet. It's about 7.1%.
Okay, what numbers are we looking at? Because currently the largest one, Washington 1, is almost at max. Maybe it has exceeded that at this point of 2,000. Appreciate.
So I was informed by Mr. Shelton that there is statutory precedents on the books for allowing smaller counties such as ourselves higher numbers as it relates to the actual precincts themselves.
Is that the direction we plan to go, do you know?
So Washington one right now has not been changed as far as the boundaries on that.
Because it would be nice to keep them small and more even. Right now, they're not very uneven. So that, in, future election years, we can manage elections a lot easier.
So if you plan, I know that Sherry Frank has reached out to the county. I'm planning on having a meeting with her, with Dave Shelton present. If you'd like to attend that meeting, I'd be more than happy to send
I
an
would
invite
love
with
to
that.
attend. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'll have Teresa or myself reach out and let you know when that's gonna happen.
Thank you.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All meetings closed.
Yeah, that. Incredible.
For you.
Oh, yeah?
That version.